Hello everyone. So today we will be discussing another topic of the chapter forest. So today what we are going to learn basically we will be learning about the structure of a forest. What are the different layers of a forest today basically we will be learning. Okay. So under this what we are going to learn basically we will be learning about 5 different layers of forest. Okay, what are the 5 different layers? Canopy, understory, shrub layer, herb layer and forest floor. So regarding this we will be studying in details. So let's proceed. Now, a forest consists of different horizontal layer of vegetation, that is trees and plants, right? Now, scientists they usually divide the forest into 5 layers of vegetation based on the living environment or based on the categories of plants. Okay, so what are the different 5 layers of the forest vegetation? First means at the top it lies canopy. After canopy it comes understory, followed that shrub layer, then herb layer and forest floor. Okay, now the amount of sunlight available in each layer of the forest decides what type of plants grow and survive over there. Okay, so now we will be describing each one of the layers in details. Here in this diagram you can see the topmost part, it is what? It is a canopy. Just after canopy the middle part it lies understory. Then comes the shrub layer. All of you know what is shrub? Shrubs are what? They are the medium sized plant. After that it comes herb layer, that is a small sized plant. Okay, and then it comes a forest floor where lies the soil, where lies the insects and where lies the decomposer. Okay, now number 1 is canopy. Now in a forest, the branches and leaves of tall trees they form a kind of roof or umbrella over the smaller trees and other plants in the forest, right? So the uppermost branches and leaves of tall trees which act like a roof over the forest ground is called what? Is called canopy. Right, so a canopy, it is more or less a continuous layer of leaves. Okay, it is the upper part of crowns of tall trees in the forest which make the canopy. Okay, so thus in the forest the tall trees it forms the uppermost layer of vegetation. Okay, so canopy it is considered as the uppermost layer or highest layer of vegetation in the forest, right? The primary vegetation in a canopy is of mature trees, right? So a canopy it is filled by leaves from large and mature trees, right? Canopy leaves it intercept the sunlight available to the forest. Less than 50% of total sunlight falling on the top of the forest, it can pass through canopy and go down to the plant in the forest layer below the canopy. Okay, the canopy of a forest it is full of various types of animals and includes what? Insects, birds, reptiles, mammals and many more. After that it comes understory. Now understory it is a layer of vegetation in the forest which is just below the canopy, okay, and above the shrub layer. Okay, now this understory layer it consists of smaller trees and tree saplings, right? The understory layer of forest it has comparatively much less sunlight. Okay, the smaller trees found in the understory grow to become bigger trees only when tall trees die and open gaps in the canopy, right? It has comparatively much less sunlight than that of the canopy. Next comes the shrub layer. What is shrub layer? The layer of vegetation in a forest which is just below the understory is called what? Is called shrub layer, right? Now the shrub layer it consists of many mature shrubs and bushes, right? The shrub layer it has smaller vegetation which is between 1 meter and 2 meter in heights from forest floor, right? So the animals such as you can say deers and bear it can obtain lot of food from shrub layer of vegetation. Many of the shrubs in the forest it depends on animals for the dispersal of their seeds. Okay, dispersal of their seeds, already you know what is dispersal of the seeds, and it is mostly done by the animals, right? The animals eat the shrub's fleshy fruit and pass out the seeds at different places in the forest through their feces. Okay, as because the shrub it comes within their level, okay, they cannot reach the canopy, so therefore they feed upon the shrubs which are present in the forest, right? And sunlight it is very less over the shrub layer. Next comes a herb layer. Now, the layer of vegetation in the forest which is just below the shrub layer is called the herb layer, right? Now, this herb layer, it consists mainly of herbs, ferns and grasses. Okay, it is the lowest layer of vegetation in the forest, right? Now, this herb layer, it ranges from forest floor to about 1 meter in height. As you all know that they are very tiny plant. Okay, their stems are very, very weak. Okay, thus herbs, they form the lowest layer of the forest. Now, very little sunlight it remains for the plant in the herb layer, right? Now, in the herb layer, the plants and they grow and flower early in the season so as to get sufficient sunlight before the canopy leaves open and obstruct the sunlight, right? Most of the plant in the herb layer have short life cycle. Next is what? Next is the forest floor. Now, what is forest floor? The ground surface of the forest is called forest floor. Okay. Now, this forest floor, it is also considered as a layer of vegetation in the forest structure. Right, the forest floor, it has many kind of small leafless plants such as you can say mosses, then lichens. Okay, lichens, they are a close association of algae and fungi. Right, now the largest animal in the forest, they live on the forest floor. Okay, the forest floor, it has many kinds of insects and worms. The decomposer organisms such as bacteria and fungi, they are also present on the forest floor. Okay, now this forest floor, it is covered with dead and decaying plant matters, decaying animal matter and animal waste. Right, now as I said you that in the forest floor many decomposers, they also live. Now, what is the role of decomposer in the forest? What are decomposer? Actually, the bacteria and fungi, they are basically the decomposers. Okay, now what are their specific roles in the forest? Now, as leaves, trees, other plants and animals die, they fall on the forest floor. Right, now the animal waste, they also fall on the forest floor and collect over there. Now, in the forest floor, what happens? There are a large number of decomposers such as bacteria and fungi. Now, these decomposers, they break down dead leaves, branches and tree trunks, dead animals and animal waste to form what? To form humus, which contain the nutrients. Right, now this humus, it mixes up with the soil in the forest and nutrients present in it, they are used for the growth of plant. In this way, what happens? The decomposer, they help in maintaining the supply of nutrients to the trees and other plants in the forest. Right, this is about what about the role of decomposer in the forest floor. Now, next comes what? Next comes the, here you can see the forest floor. Okay, this is a layer of the forest floor. Next comes the crown of a tree. Now, what is a crown of a tree? Now, the branchy part of a tree above the stem is known as what? Is known as the crown of a tree. Okay, now this crown, it includes the top part of a tree which has all the branches and leaves of the tree. Now, different types of trees have crowns having different shapes and sizes. Like if you go in the mountainous area, okay, you will find the crown of a tree are different. If you go to the forest, you will find the crowns are different. Okay, now there are large number of crowns shapes of trees in a forest. Now, some of the most common shapes of crowns of trees, here you can see it is shown in this figure. Okay, now what are the functions of this crown? The major functions of the crown of a tree are to, number one, absorb sunlight energy, to carry out photosynthesis, to release oxygen, carry out the process of respiration and transpiration. Transpiration, it leads to what? It leads to humidity in the environment, that leads to more and more rainfall. Okay, now all these functions, they are performed by the leaves in the crown. Right, the branches of crown only hold the leaves. Okay, this crown of tall trees, it forms green cover over the forest land. Okay, and the trees and the plants of different heights, they create different horizontal layer in the forest. Right, now the crown of trees, they shade the forest floor. Also, what happens? This crown of the tree, they also provide the shelter for different types of birds. Right, so this is all about your today's lesson. In our next class, we will be discussing about the importance of forest. What are the importance of forest? Okay, thank you everyone.